It is a beautiful day in South Mississippi. It's gorgeous along the Mississippi Gulf Coast. It's hard to imagine. Just a few weeks ago, we were covered in snow, 10 to 12 inches in some places. And that was an amazing time, but I am glad that it's gone and that we're back to warmer temperatures. And I kind of like it around 85, 90 degrees personally. And so, but in a way, it still is a beautiful, beautiful day here along the Mississippi, Louisiana Gulf Coast. Before I get started, and today I want to talk about school choice. It's a hot topic right now in the legislature. It's a hot topic around the nation, and it's a hot topic here in Mississippi. And I want to give you my thoughts and my views concerning school choice. But before I do that, I want to mention something that I mention every single show, and that is this right here. I believe this is very important. That's why I mention it every show, and that is this right here. It's simple. It's not complicated. It's not hard. It's very easy, and that is your vote counts. Boy, I like to drive this. If I don't drive anything else home, and if you don't get anything with this episode of this podcast, I at least want you to get this, and that is that your vote counts. We just learned in 2024 in November that every vote counts. That's why Donald Trump won the Electoral College. That's why Donald Trump won the popular vote, because people understood the importance of getting out, getting to the polls, and voting. And let me just say this. Whenever it comes to legislation, whenever it comes to your representation, whether in your state capital or in the capital, Washington, D.C., or your representation even in your county courthouses or all across in the city halls, your vote counts. As they're making decisions, as they're deciding on what bills to bring out of committee, as they're deciding on what policy that they're going to take up, as they're deciding on whether or not they're going to vote to confirm one of Donald Trump's nominees. During that time, it is important for you and I to realize that every one of our vote counts. And unfortunately, so many people, they think that their vote doesn't matter. That's why a lot of people only vote whenever it comes to presidential, and then whenever it comes to the county or whenever it comes to the state, people don't see that as important. That's why the numbers are much higher for presidential than it is for other votes. And so, but I think they all count. They all matter. Every vote counts. And that's why I constantly push and I constantly encourage people to get to the polls and get to the vote. Today I want to talk about a very interesting topic that I don't see it as controversial, but a lot of people do, and that is this right here, school choice. School choice. So I want to talk about school choice, and I want to give you my thoughts and my views on school choice. Now, before I say get into the meat of this discussion or into this podcast, let me just say this. First off, all five of my children attend public schools. My oldest two, Quitman and David, they attend West Harrison High School. London and Diana, they attend West Harrison Middle School. Scarlett, she attends West Harrison Elementary. All five are doing very well. Quitman has nearly a 4.0 GPA. He's involved in track. He's involved in football, and he's doing very well. Diana, she has a 4.0 GPA, and she plays soccer. She runs track, and she's doing very well. London, she has a good GPA, and she's doing well. But she plays basketball, and she is going to be trying out for track, and she's doing well. David plays baseball, plays football. He's doing good in school with his grades. Scarlett has some I don't know the right word to use, but Scarlett has some disabilities whenever it comes to learning, whenever it comes to just Scarlett, and so, but she's doing well, and I'm so thankful for those in her class and her teachers that are just bending over backwards to help her and to encourage her. The schools that I send my children to are great: West Harrison High, West Harrison Middle, West Harrison Elementary. But I'm not naive enough to think that every school in Mississippi or every school in the nation is going to be like West Harrison High or West Harrison Middle or West Harrison Elementary. I'm not naive enough to think that every single teacher is going to be like their teachers. Their teachers are excellent. Their teachers are good. Their teachers are doing very, very well. They communicate very good. And I understand that not every place is going to be like that. Not every school is going to be like that. That is one reason why I am such a strong a component or a strong ally of school choice and why I think school choice would be good for Mississippi. Because not every school is going to be an excellent school. And I believe that every parent should have the right to send their child to the school of their choice. And that brings me to my very first point, and that is school choice that empowers parents to make the best decisions for their child. So whenever you're looking at schools and you're looking at the ratings, in West Harrison, the schools that we send our children to all have an A rating. They all are some of the top schools in Mississippi. They do very well. But I understand that not every school is like that. Not just public schools, but not every Christian school, not every private school, not every charter school is going to be like that. And so I understand that. And so whenever it comes to school choice, I believe it is important to put that power back into the parents' hands. And if a parent is sending their child and if their school is an F rating, then they should better put their child in any school that they want. And that money that is following their child to that public school, that money ought to follow them as well. And so that is where some of the controversy comes about, is about the money. It's always about the money. But that money, listen to me very carefully, that money is not the state's money. It's really not the county's money. It's not even the school's money. That money belongs to those parents. And whenever they're paying for a service, then that money ought to go with those children. It ought to follow those children. And so parent, if they're sending their child, if their public school in their area is an F rating, but the public school in the next district over is maybe a B or an A rating, and that parent wants to send their child to that school, then that money ought to follow that child. And so what school choice does, it gives the power back to the parents. And I believe that's important. I believe that the power should be in the parents' hands. I don't believe that it should be in some bureaucrats' hands in Jackson or in D.C. But I believe that it is important to put the power back in the child's hands. Let me give you the second thing. It encourages competition. You see, what I believe is this, that competition is always good. Not just in education, but also whenever it comes to insurance. Whenever it comes to, you look at any and every service, competition is always the best. Why do we choose some of the restaurants that we choose to go to? I'll tell you why. Look, I don't say this boastfully or privately, but I generally do not choose a restaurant based upon the price of the food. I generally choose a restaurant, one, because that's where I want to go. Secondly, because of the service. I've just gotten used to going to certain restaurants along Louisiana, Slidell, and Gulfport, Mississippi, that there's just certain places that I like to go eat at. And most of the time, I don't even look at the menu because I know what I want. And so whenever I go there, I already know what I'm going to order. And so I'm going there mainly because of the service and because of the food. And so whenever it comes to school choice, what it's going to do is it's going to breed competition. It's going to make these F-rating schools, it's going to make the principals and the teachers there work harder to get their school up to a B or to an A. It's going to make the schools that are a D, it's going to make them work harder to get their school up to a B, a C, or an A. And that goes for the C school and for the B school. It's going to breed competition because they know that if they're an F-rating school and if there's a B or an A rating school right across the district line, that parent now has the power because of school choice that they're going to move their child to another school. And so that brings me to my next thing. It's a better outcome for students. And so whenever the parents have the power and then it's breeding competition, there's a better outcome for the students. Now, here's what I really believe. Some people are saying, and I've heard this argument that, man, everybody's going to pull their kids, out of their school and put them in a private or a Christian or a charter school. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that's what's going to happen at all. I believe that there will be more parents pulling their child out to put them in another public school more than pulling their child out to put them in a Christian private school. That's what I believe. I believe there are going to be more parents pulling their child out and say, we're going to put them in this public school instead of this public school because this public school has got a B or an A rating. And so that's what's going to happen. So there's going to be a better outcome for the students. But I'm going to tell you the other thing, and it is going to cause these F rating schools and these D rating schools to go to work and work hard and try to bring their school rating up. Because they don't want to lose the students. Because if they lose the students, then they lose the money. And if they lose the money, then they lose their salaries. And so I think it's just going to be a better outcome all the way around for the students. And that's what this is really about anyway. It's not about somebody having a position of principal or a position of being a school board member. It is about the children. That's what it should always be about. And there will be a better outcome for the children whenever the parents have the power to move their child to another school that has a better rating, maybe with better teachers, maybe with better facilities, maybe with a better principal. I don't know whatever the case is, but it gives it gives that parent the power to do so. You see, there's a lot of parents that can't afford to move their child to another public school or to put their child in a Christian or a private or a charter school. But in this, whenever it comes to school choice, and if their child is in an F rating school, then they're going to move their child. Now, listen, if school choice was passed today, I wouldn't move my children to another school. I would keep them right where they're at. They're doing very well. Their school is a A rating school. They have great teachers all the way around. They have good, hardworking principals all the way around. And there are a lot of schools like that on the coast. But we know some areas around the state and in other parts of the nation. And right now we're really focused on our states. But and there are schools that they're just, I hate to put it like this, but they're horrible. And not just public, but there's some Christian schools and private schools and charter schools that are not where I would want to put my child. And so this gives the parents the power whenever you look at school choice. And so it's a better outcome for the students. And that is what this ought to be about. It's ought to always be about the students. Let me ask you a question. When it comes, why, you know, some people, they don't like school choice. They're not for school choice. They think it's going to, they think it's going to destroy, you know, the public school system. They think it's going to hurt students. They think that people are going to be without jobs. They think that all of this stuff is going to happen. But listen to me very carefully. I don't believe any of that's going to happen. I don't believe that parents are going to, or that teachers are going to lose jobs. I don't believe that students are going to get less of an education. I think this is what will happen. Several things. One, I think that your schools are going to work harder to become a better rating. I think that's going to be the number one thing. Your F school is going to work harder to become a C or a B or an A school. That's going to happen right off the bat. Principals are going to start brainstorming with their teachers. What can we do? How can we better educate our children? And let me just say this. Let me just say this also, that a lot of this I put on some of the parents. Because parents, you need to be involved in your children's education. It doesn't matter to me what school they go to. You ought to be involved. You ought to know what's happening. You ought to know what's going on. When they come home from school, you ought to be asking questions, finding out about their homework. What are they making on their test? My children, there's a website, Parent Square, that we can go to, and we can keep up with their grades every single day. We can watch their grades. We can see their tests, what they're making on their tests, what their GPA is. We can see all of that. And parents are to be involved. They are to be engaged in what's happening. I believe that if parents will get more involved and more engaged in what's happening in their children's school, I think it would help their school rating to come up some if parents would get more involved and more engaged. And so I think overall, it's going to be a better outcome for the students. And that's what this ought to be about anyway. So I think one thing is the F rating schools, the D rating schools are going to work harder to become a better rating school. The other thing that's going to happen is if these schools don't get it together and if they don't bring their rating up, then yes, parents will pull their children out. If there's one school away, there's one school that's 7 miles away and it's an F rating and that's where my children are supposed to go. But there's another school the opposite direction that's maybe 12 miles away. And so whenever I say, okay, and now because of school choice, I could put my child in this school and it's a B or an A rating school, absolutely I'm going to pull my child out and put them in that other school because it's a better rating. People say, well, teachers are going to lose their jobs. No, they're not, because these other schools are going to need more teachers. These A and B rating schools are going to need more teachers. So what they're going to do is they're going to be able to hire teachers, and they'll be able to fire teachers that aren't doing the job that they're supposed to do. So once again, it's going to be a better outcome for the students. That is what this should be about. It should always be about a better outcome for the students. If you're a teacher, and if you're watching this, then you get it. Like I don't put a lot of this on the teachers because, man, teachers work hard. And they are working way beyond 3:30, way beyond whenever your child comes home, they're grading papers, they're still working. Through the summertime, they're still working. They're getting further education, and they're working maybe in their classroom or they're involved, and their teachers work extremely hard. I don't put a lot of this on you. I put a lot of this on administration in some cases. And in a lot of cases, I put this on some of the parents as well. because moms and dads are not involved like they should be. And so I just want to give you something to think about whenever it comes to school choice, why I am for school choice, while I stand for it. Opponents of school choice argue that it would take money away from public schools, but this is a flawed argument. I wrote, listen to me, the purpose of education funding should be to educate children, not to sustain a particular institution. There are some schools that it would probably be better if they did close down and if we did put our children in a completely different school. I mean, some schools, whenever they get to a certain point, they just need to, it's okay for some things to fail and to just scrap it and to start over. And that is what needs to happen in some schools. And move these students to a better school that can help them. That way, it's a better outcome for the students. And that's what this ought to be about. It ought to always be about the students. You say, well, Dan, you've already said that several times. And hopefully we'll start getting it. It should always be about the students. It shouldn't be about somebody's ego. It shouldn't be about somebody's position. It should be always about the students. When schools are forced to compete, they improve. That's the same way when it comes to restaurants. That's the same thing whenever it comes to mechanics. That's the same thing whenever it comes to anything, any area of workforce, insurance or framers or plumbers or electricians, in every area. When schools are forced to compete, they improve. What if you only had one plumber in the entire Mississippi? Just one plumber. Well, that one plumber wouldn't worry about the type of service that they provided, because where else are you going to go to find plumbing? Where else are you going to go to find somebody to fix all your plumbing needs? If there's only one plumber, he's not going to care what kind of job he does. My point is, this is the same way in education. When schools are forced to compete, they improve. The goal is to ensure every Mississippi child receives a quality education. That should always be the goal. And how can we make that happen? I think school choice is one way that we can make that happen. Every Mississippi child deserves a quality education, and school choice is the most effective way to accomplish that. That is one way. That is one thing that I believe very strongly about. No child should be forced into a failing school simply because of their zip code or economic status. And whenever you have school choice and that money follows that child, it empowers the parents, and they can move their child out of a failing school system into a passing school system, and it's going to be better for the child. It should always be about the child. It should always be about the child having a better education. If Mississippi truly wants to improve this education system, it must embrace policies that give parents control, promote innovation, and ensure that every student has access to a quality education. And that's just not in Mississippi. That's in Louisiana. That's in Texas. That's California. That should be every state, everywhere, all across the United States of America. If America truly wants to improve its education system, it must embrace policies that give parents control, promote innovation, and ensure that every student has access to a quality education. And school choice is the key to making that vision a reality. I'm not getting paid to do this podcast. Nobody's paying me a dime. Nobody. For me, it's about the children. It's always about the children. And Mississippi has made great strides in the education system. I mean, Mississippi's doing very well. But I believe that this is the next step to bring Mississippi over the top whenever it comes to giving our children a better education. And not just a better education, but a better future. A better future. And it should always be about the children. I have 5 children. And one of the things that I want for them more than anything, outside of a good health, a good love for the Lord, them to walk with God, is for them to have a good education. And I believe that they're getting a good education. But unfortunately, not every school is going to be like the school that they attend. Not every school is going to have the opportunities that my children have in their school. And so that, ladies and gentlemen, is the reason why I'm for school choice. Listen, if you watched this episode and if you liked it, hey, send it to your legislator. Let them watch. And of course, if any of the legislators out there that watch this, and if you want to come on the show and if you want to talk about why either you support school choice or why you're against school choice, man, I would love to have the conversation. I would love to have the conversation. I've had several state officials reach out over the last week and ask, or I have reached out to some and asked them to even come on the show. And let's talk about, some of these bills that are in the legislation to talk about them and have some good open debate and some good dialogue, because I think that is important. And this area of school choice, I think it is important for our children, and it's important for our children's future. Hey, thanks for watching this episode. I really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already shared, I would encourage you to share. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Facebook. Whatever social media platform you're watching this, please share. It helps us get out our message, the message to help our children have a better education. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless the great United States of America.